2x cubed plus 2x plus 3. Choose the answer that best describes the polynomial. Okay, the first thing that it says is the degree. What degree is this polynomial? Degree 3, because 3 is the highest exponent. So that rules out C, because it says degree 2. What is the leading coefficient? 2. Remember, once it's in standard form, which means the exponents decrease, the leading coefficient is the very first one, which in this case is 2. So the right answer is B. Number 2, given x to the 5th plus 6x plus 2, what is the degree and what is the constant term? Okay, well, what degree is this one? 5. Your highest exponent is a 5, so it's degree 5. And then that pretty much answers the question because none of the other ones say degree 5. But the constant is 2 because that is your number without a variable, so B. Alright, under each graph pictured below, list the zeros. Well, before we do that, we're going to do some other things just for you to refresh your memory on some things we did before the break. Is this graph even or odd? It is odd. Why is it odd? Right, your ends go in opposite directions. One goes up, one goes down. Anytime you have a graph and their ends behave in opposite directions, it's odd, which means the highest exponent, the degree, would be an odd number, like 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on. Is it odd positive or odd negative? Positive. And how do you know that? It's going up on the right. What part of the equation makes it positive? The leading coefficient, like up here in this one. It's degree 3, so the ends would be going in opposite directions. But since the leading coefficient is a positive 2, it would be going up on the right, down on the left. Had this been a negative 2x cubed, it still would have gone opposite ways, but the negative would have made it go down on the right, up on the left. Okay, for this one, is this odd or even? Odd, because your 5 is your degree, and that's an odd number, which means it's going to go opposite directions. Is it going to go up on the right or down on the right? Up, because isn't that a positive 1x to the 5th? Anytime your leading coefficient is a positive value and the ends go in opposite directions, it's the right end that goes up. Okay, so now that we have classified it as odd positive, let's talk about the zeros. Zeros is just another word for x-intercepts. How many x-intercepts are there? 3, which makes sense that we get 3 because it's an odd number, and we should get an odd amount of zeros. Continue. It makes sense that it crosses 3 times. It should cross an odd amount of times because it's an odd graph. Where does it cross? Right here. So the first 0 is at -2. Where does it cross next? 0. There is a 0 at 0. And where does it cross the third time? +2. Okay, go ahead and try 4 and 5 before I do them for you. Okay, for number 4, is this an odd or an even graph? Odd, because the ends are going in opposite directions. One side's going up, one side's going down. Is it odd positive or odd negative? Positive. The right side is going up, so it's odd positive. This means your degree would be an odd number, and your leading coefficient would be a positive number. Okay, where are the zeros? Correct. Alright, number 5. What kind of graph is it? Odd negative this time. Odd because it's still going opposite directions. One's going down, one's going up. But since it's going down on the right, that means your leading coefficient was a negative number. Okay, where are the zeros? -4, right? Negative, because that's 1, and then 2, 3, 4. -1 and 5. Okay, number 6. This time they want you to do something different. They want you to write the equation for the following graphs in factor form, including a negative sign if necessary. Okay, see how it crosses right here at -4? How would you represent that as a factor? X plus 4. Remember how how when it's written as a factor, it's always the opposite of where it actually crosses? And so this x-intercept of positive 3 would be represented with a x minus 3. And then this 0 at 5 would be represented with a x minus 5. Okay, and then it's going up on the right, which means it's odd what? Positive. So there's no need to put a plus sign out there. It's understood that it's positive if there's no sign at all. Okay, for the next one, it is odd negative. Odd because they're still going different directions on their ends, but negative because it's going down on the right. So doesn't that mean there'll be a negative sign out in front? Okay, the first x-intercept is negative 2, which we would represent with a x plus 2. Where's your next x-intercept for 0? How do you represent it? Just an x, and we always put that in front. So we'll put a little x out front to represent the 0 at 0. And then our other 0 is at 3, which would be x minus 3. Okay, I want you to try 8 and 11. You can skip 9 and 10. We're going to come back to those later. Try 8 and 11. Okay, for this one, is there a need for a negative sign for this graph? Yes, obviously they're both going down. What kind of graph is it? Even. Is it even positive or even negative? Even negative. That means your highest degree, your degree would be an even number, like 2, 4, 6, whatever, but your leading coefficient would be negative. That's why we have to put a negative out front. There are only 2 x-intercepts, and where are they located? Negative 4, which is represented by x plus 4, and x minus 2 to represent that positive 2. So that's what you should have got for that one. Negative x plus 4 and x minus 2. Now, it would have been okay had you put x minus 2 and then x plus 4. Alright, number 11. Do we need a negative sign? Yes. Is this even or odd? Even. They're still going the same direction on the ends, right? It is even negative. Okay, the first factor would be what to represent this 0? Negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that negative 6? Right. And then this would be represented with a x plus 2. And then this one would be represented with just an x, and we put it out front. And then this one would be represented with a x minus 2. Okay.